But also, I do want to bring up something else that, our former president said. No, hold on. Relax, first of all. Hold on. Right? Remember, there's a time like there was so much controversy. The press guys are on him and ask him like so many questions. And then I don't know who threw the question because it had come up like so many times. Like, you guys keep buying land. You're buying land from these people and these people. And then there was just something brilliant that he said, which I do understand. And a lot, again, it's a very big power move that a lot of people do use. When you're in the finance world, it's just still the same thing. It's called willing buyer and willing seller. So, meaning that they say like, hey, this is what we are offering you. Are you guys okay with it? Yes. And then when you say yes, whether you get exploited or not, you've already agreed. And that's the unfortunate part, because I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, like we have so many young people who are very talented, but they're very hungry for exposure and not actual success.
Yeah.
And, like, as long as I'm affiliated with this brand, I've received a PR package from this brand.
Yeah.
I've, taken pictures. I've stood next to the influencer that I've been seeing online. Now we're taking pictures together.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me,
Yeah.
even if you don't pay me. And also another thing that people need to understand, that you can play these games, but at the end of it all, if it's a career path that you want to take seriously, you want to be able to feed children, change lives of people who are around you. And yes, like I say again, it's all fun and games, but we do see older celebrities who come back into difficult financial times, and we see them crying online.
Yeah.
Somebody can't pay like a medical bill for their mother who's in hospital with a terminal illness, or somebody's thrown out, their house is locked up. We see people going into alcoholism, depression, with all those things. Remember, it all comes down to finances. So unfortunately, as much as they do the good work, there's a very big gap, and just all that financial literacy needs to be, sprinkled just a bit. Because you can't be taught this in school. You can't be taught this in Strathmore. You can't be taught this in USIU. Financial literacy is not taught in schools because we still do need a workforce.
Yeah.
Because now if everybody's financially literate, who's going to go to offices? Who's going to fill these offices? Because now everybody knows about stocks, about bonds, about buying financial freedom.
Yeah.
Then who's going to work? Where are we going to get our nurses? Where are we going to get, even doctors might reconsider going to do med school for like over 10, 15 years probably, accumulatively. But yeah, that's why we still come back to the thing of money is also very important, but it's important to have those discussions prior. But it's good for somebody like you to understand that you're not doing a bad thing. You're just doing what's right. That's what needs to be done. But unfortunately, there are a lot of other people around you who are from your generation who are hungry for just whatever can be given to them. I think that's what you call breadcrumbs.
Yeah, that's what I've been calling breadcrumbs, and it does ruin the market for the rest of us.
Yeah.
But before I get to that part, I want to just bring it back to that thing of willing buyer, willing seller.
Yes.
And I think I pointed it out again on socials when I said, they have the information, so they have the power. At this point, as a creator, you're not aware of the commercial value that your content has, right?
Yeah.
You're not aware that these people are making money from the content that you produced that day. And they called us to a meeting, by the way, and they said, we are not making any money from the content produced that day.
Wait, they called a meeting?
They did call a meeting, and I did actually post about it.
You were in the meeting?
Of course I was in the meeting.
Oh, Lord.
I had to join the meeting.
Okay.
I feel like partly I was their target audience, so I had to join the meeting to hear what they had to say.
Okay.
But I just, so they said very categorically that they are not making any money from the content that was produced that day.
Okay.
And that they're actually funding the school,
Who's funding the school?
That they are funding the School of Influence. They said how they have this budget to fly people in to teach master classes, and that's a very big budget, and they're funding it themselves. Although they're also getting funding from NCBA Bank. So
okay, I do want to ask you a question, and then you can just give me your opinion. Do you think you can teach an influencer how to be an influencer?
So actually, that's been a lot of the discourse that I've been seeing in the comments online, and I think it's a good question to ask because people have been saying, even Instagram, like if you follow Instagram on Instagram, it
Yeah.
gives you so many creator insights and stuff like that, right? But any profession, any field should offer opportunities for training, for certification, for getting better, no matter what you do. Do you know how many trainings I've done on human rights, digital storytelling? I've done them, I've applied for many of them because you do get insights. You see like some really great initiatives out here like Baraza Media Lab. They had their Africa Media Festival. So if you go for that, you first of all you've paid for a ticket and you've
Yeah.
gone and you've learned a lot.
True.
So I don't think like we should come down on people for trying to get better at their craft. It was just like something that I saw and I thought, okay, this might be a
Yeah.
good opportunity. There might be a lot to learn. And it was also well marketed.
This is me asking for permission to speak.
Okay.
So it still comes back to, do you think you can call an influencer and teach them how to do their job?
I think you can offer insights. I think you
Yeah.
can offer insight. For example, I follow light art creators, right? It's an affiliate, I think, of Light Art Club. They give
Wait,
so
are
many.
they partners or?
I don't know. I think there's Light Art
I've
Club.
seen the
and then
logo
there's
like
Light Art
somewhere.
Creators.
I've seen the logo in their website.
I don't know. Don't ask me.
So I wouldn't know, but somebody can correct us maybe. in
But
the
they
comments.
offer like valuable insights on creating, how to place wording on a post.
Yeah.
Youth Plus. I attended Youth Plus festival.
I
There was-
missed it.
It was really good this year. It was really good.
Yeah. Okay.
But there was a lot of insights. Like there's a lot of things I learned there that I wouldn't have otherwise known. So yes, I feel like you can teach someone how to influence. But
I do have a follow-up for that as well. Or do you want to finish what you're saying?
No,
You said,
please,
but
go ahead.
so now the thing is, if I was to pick probably top 10 or top 20 content creators, whether it's locally or internationally, I don't think there's anyone who's going to learn about a masterclass on doing what they do. And then I'll also like now double down to saying that when a brand is approaching you, or when people like Dentsu, send you an invite, why do you think they're inviting you to their space, platform, or collab? Why do you think they're inviting you?
Is it for a collab or was it so that they can choose who they are going to
No.
teach?
Just in general, let's say a company is reaching out to an influencer. Why do you think they reach out to an influencer, from your opinion?
That's a good question because it's something that I've been trying to unpack for the past couple of days because
I can tell you why.
okay.
They don't care about you. You know that, right?
No corporate cares about you, I know that.
So what do they care about?
Making money
No.
and brand visibility.
No. Something else.
Okay, what is it?
Your audience.
Okay.
That's all they care about. Because the people that follow you, you are the one who's going to say something nice about Dentsu. Your followers are going to roll in. If it's a pick any influencer right now, if they hold like, hey guys, by the way, today I had like, Coca-Cola with this on lunch, their followers might be like, by the way, I've never tried Coca-Cola with this and this as an addition to my meal. So it's all about like your following. And that's why they will ask most of the times at times. We have micro influencers and then we have like the big influencers,
Yeah,
right?
which is a whole other, by the way, rabbit hole
Yeah.
about that whole event.
Okay, we'll get to that. So now you'll notice, like, even with a lot of people, like now when you're pitching for ideas and everything, most companies or brand managers will be like, hey, okay, sir, we like your ideas and everything. How many followers do you have? How many followers do you have?
I feel like, okay,
Yeah.
the whole follower thing is another like narrative that has really been bothering me on social media lately.
Yeah.
Because I don't think influence is about your follower count or about your audience. That's why the answer didn't like jump into my head. Because I feel like it's about impact. This is not the first viral video that I've done where I'm talking about just some nonsense that's happening in this country, And because of that, I've always considered myself an influencer. And the other thing is that I will use my platform to speak justice, no matter who is listening. So to me, influence is about what I'm saying, not who is listening.
True.
You know?
True. But it still comes down to these companies. And that's why when they do a silly move, you're like, hey, wait, what exactly? Why would they do something like this? Because listen, even when it comes to micro influencers, don't think that their numbers don't matter. And that's why when they said like we want a number of stories, how many? Like, was it 10 stories and one reel? Accumulatively, if you put plus all the hashtags, how many posts are there? Because even now, if you just go on TikTok and just put a hashtag or just search for Dentsu, like videos are just popping up. And that's what I'm talking about. Like they care about the followers because you're going to create content and then it just doubles down to your followers from like, upper class, middle class, and lower class. They've captured everybody by just including the influencers. So your voice, you could, because let's say, for instance, my podcast is not that big in numbers. And, there are times that I used to pitch to people like, hey, can you guys sponsor my podcast and do,
and they want to see the numbers.
Yeah, but I don't have those big numbers. But with the small numbers that I have, I've been able to retire. I don't need to work an 8 to 5.
Period.
I don't need to work an 8 to 5. So it's all about, it's what you do with what you have. And I'll also like now, there's something that I always do with people, like even on my podcast when they come. I just want you people, just maybe people who are young or Gen Z to understand like what numbers really mean. Because at times people go to these events and they think that these brands are going to change their life. How many influencers can we say like brands have changed their life?
Oh my gosh, like exactly. And that's what I even commented on something yesterday or the day before.
They don't.
This thing is not going to change your life. And people are out here compromising themselves, actually jumping to the defense of the exploiter because they think that this is some sort of life-changing opportunity. Even if you don't make it into the Dentsu school of influence, like when you die, nothing bad is going to happen. And you're not going to get a job just because of being shortlisted.
Nope.
No, certainly not. And even if you do get a job, they might probably be paying you like a fraction of what you're worth.
It won't be worth that much that people think. I mean, look at other, and that's why I'm telling people like, I always say like on my podcast, personal branding, the way you just brand yourself as a person, talking to people, talking to your audience, and learning how to package things that, I'm telling you, it can be as easy as things like merchandise. Mr. Beast can just sell merchandise. He's good. In fact, let's pick the countries that have like the best influence work. We can go with America, right?
Yeah.
I think that's where the influencing started from.
But you know what? And this is something I was thinking about today, is that I feel like this stuff that we are dealing with Dentsu and the government and just this whole system of exploitation in general is very colonialist, if you ask me.
True.
Like, I feel like these people came hundreds of years ago and set the precedents for the stuff that we are doing today. Because if you go to somewhere like the US, people know their worth there. So you won't find, and I'm not saying people don't get exploited in the US. We're definitely not saying that.
Yeah.
But here it's okay because the exploitation is normalized. Here it's like, it's the bare minimum. It's the standard, So I've been just trying to explain to people that what we are dealing with here, yes, Dentsu, but Dentsu is a symptom of a very deeply rooted problem.
Yeah.
That is what I'm trying to expose.
But also we have to understand that influencing is something that is very new in the job market. So there's no correct formula that has been, like even when they say something like, an influencer school, we've never had anything like that. So even if they do anything, like how will you judge them? How will you say like this is not the standard of how it's supposed to be done? Because there's nobody else doing it.
That's true.
And then now the thing I was telling you like about the importance of just your audience and even how people do it like abroad and why people abroad people are not running to chase brands. Brands are really begging people. But here you see like people are just constantly begging. That's why it's just important to understand like your platform and just build your audience slowly. Because, for you, I can see you doing like politics in future. That's for sure. I mean, that's just, come on, that's just like, that's just given. But we'll get to the politics part. But I want to show you like how numbers work, right? Because I'm always talking about like finances all the time. It's because like I've taken time to understand Oh, sorry, it's just like, I don't know, maybe it's like or
Oh,
something.
okay. I was wondering,
No,
did you hear
it's not
that?
you.
Okay.
So let's say you have 10,000 followers, right?
Okay.
And these are loyal followers that follow you. Because I don't even understand how people have like 900K followers like on TikTok and they can barely pay rent.
Yeah,
They're not doing well. Like, what's the point?
it's true.
What's the point? And that's where the financial literacy comes back. So you have 10,000 followers. Let's not go to the 900K because those are ridiculous numbers. Let's say you're just focusing on your brand, your audience, and you even have like maybe merch, which is things like bracelets, maybe t-shirts, or just like anything, key holders or something. But let's take maybe merchandise that can be cheap and your audience really loves you. So let's say maybe key rings, because most students, like, would have keys, right? A key ring.
Okay.
Yeah, key ring, maybe like something that you'll just add to your key, like
yeah.
probably like a key holder or something.
Okay.
But something that looks aesthetically pleasing. Maybe, if it's for girls, you'll put like some glitter and, just kind of like, make it bling a bit here and there. But now people want to support you. How much would you sell like that key ring for?
Because I'm also
That's affordable. Like,
Yeah,
students don't,
yeah,
for students
I
don't say like, hey,
wouldn't
apana.
overprice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends, I guess, on how much I'm buying it for, and then I would see how to price it from there.
Yeah, it would depend because China you can get cheaper, but
Let's
let's
say-
just go with like you selling it to them. Like what would make sense to you?
So, okay, let's say I was buying the keyring at 50 shillings and I'm
Yeah.
selling to my followers. I would probably add like 200 and sell them
So
for
250.
250.
Okay. So we take.
So I'd make 200 profits.
So let's just do 10,000. We multiply by.
That's 2.5 M.
Yeah. So which influencer has gotten 2.5 over the past 2 years for just like, maybe creating videos and.
Wait,
Co-
do you know how I'm sitting on a story here that I'm just dying to
Okay,
see?
okay. Do we go to the store? But now this is key holder. That's why I've said like 250. And now let's go to something like t-shirts. I always bring this up, but I think because it's your episode and this is something you've communicated and you've tried like telling people like, know your worth.
Yeah.
You can make much more. If a brand approaches you, they shouldn't come with certain like just,
Yes.
nonsense. So let's just take maybe 10,000. I don't know what that keeps beeping, but I don't know. Maybe it's the cable. I know for sure. Okay, so now let's go with the t-shirt. Yeah, it's the cable, definitely. So let's do t-shirts, right? A t-shirt would make sense if you're selling it for 1,500, maybe on a cheaper side.
I'm not
1,000,
buying a
1,000.
t-shirt for 1,500.
1,000?
Yeah, let's say.
Somebody, a brand, a person that you really like, you know.
Okay.
Okay, so how much is that?
That is 10M.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's close to $100,000, talking about 10 million Kenyan shillings. So understand the power you have with your audience.
Period.
You can just package simpler things. You don't need to have like, sorry to use it as an example, but you don't need to have Coca-Cola next to you to be doing financially or well
Exactly.
off. And unfortunately, most people, even now, you'll notice with influencers, the moment a brand gets to you and you sign contracts and then you start creating content tailor-made to what the client wants.
Yeah.
We want you to talk like this. We want you to say this, like on your
Yeah.
videos. We want you to do this.
Yeah, you're giving up your creative freedom.
And then your brand starts. Anybody, you'll notice, like people get brand deals and then gradually they just start not relatable.
yeah.
The guy was funny, he's no longer funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, what's happening to them? It's the brands that ruin those personal brands.
Because they come with so many like requirements. You have to do
Requirements.
this deliverables.
And they throw in a lot of free things. You know, we'll
Yes.
take you from here to here. We'll give you this. We can pay for. But that's, that's probably like their tax cuts, probably. They'll just like put like tax returns.
Yeah, actually, and I think more
Yeah.
people need to recognize that when you see them doing all this, all that, for them
Yeah.
that's change, that's small change.
That's a tax write-off. They'll say this is part of their expenses, not to pay a certain amount
it's
of
very
tax.
small change. So you're
Yeah.
seeing them as these really kind people who are doing above and beyond.
Yeah.
No, these corporates are not your friend.
They do not care about you
They
at
don't.
all. Okay, now you said you were seated on a story, but do you want to share it? Maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like I want to share it.
Okay.
I've been sitting on this story, and I don't know, maybe this might be where I say it.
Yeah.
I've just been waiting to know when I'm going to talk about it, but I found that a lot of people have been DMing me, sharing their experience with Dentsu. And when this whole thing broke out, I actually encouraged people to talk to me. These people have explained to me, I've gotten both high, like influencers like with high followings and influencers with macro and micro influencers or nano influencers.
Yeah.
So for the nano influencers, they've expressed that Dentsu would reach out to them. Like maybe if you have like 5,000 followers, Dentsu will reach out to you and ask you if you'd like to do some brand promotion for one of their brands. That could be something like maybe Garnier. And then they ask you, what's your rate card? Listen very closely. They approach you, then they ask you, what's your rate card?
Yeah.
When you send them the rate card, they lowball you and they tell you, okay, maybe you've said, I can do, I don't know how people really charge. By the way, I've never done a brand deal, so I don't know how people even charge. I don't know if you charge for like per post, but
Yeah,
maybe
it can be per post. I heard somebody saying like, it can range. It can be anywhere from like, I think, 10 Gs, 15, up to
at
like,
10.
wait, what?
Because the people who have been in my DMs have even been saying that maybe they'll quote 7 and then Dentsu are
7
like
what?
1,000 shillings. And
Thou-
then Dentsu will say, we can pay you 5. And then some may take it, some may not. However, for the people that reached out to me with bigger followings, Dentsu approaches them and says, we want you to do this for this long, and this is how much we are going to pay you. And the amount is quite decent.
100?
No, not 100. I've not
50?
had that much. I've had between 20 to 50.
Okay. Okay.
So I just think, why is it that when you're approaching someone with a big following, you're approaching them with a pre-established rate, which is what you should be doing for everyone? You should even have I'd expect a document that says, if your following ranges from this much to this much, this is around how much we pay. That's the transparent. I'm very big on ethics, by the way. Like, that's what I'll do. I will sit down and look at a situation and say, what's the most ethical way to go about this, So I think it's weird. I just find it a bit strange. Like, why is it that when you're reaching out to small influencers, you wait for them to tell you how much they'll charge so that you can lowball them?
Listen,
Like taking advantage.
devil's advocate again. Remember, if I put myself in their shoes, they're like, and they'll always use your numbers against you. And that's why, remember, I still say it, like, that's why they always come. The first question they'll ask, like, okay, so how many followers do you have? Because now that already, I'm talking about that because that's something that was already being used like way back, like even when I was trying to pitch for ideas and stuff, like, hey, can you guys come and endorse this or that? I was like, okay, how big is your following? And then I'm like, oh, Lord. And then they would even go, a stretch and tell you like, but Nani has 100K followers and she's charging this much. So why would you want like me? Why would we pay you the same amount with her? And I think for most influencers, like, you'd be like, okay, it makes sense because if I have 5K and she has 100K followers, then she has a better and a bigger reach, which makes sense to a brand to pay them.
I understand, but I feel like we need to hold these brands to a bigger account because I think even like looking at it that way, even if me and my friend both have 30,000 followers, if I so much as allude that, okay, maybe my friend, they want to pay us 50K each, right? But my friend says, no, I'm not going to take your 50K. Like, they might still agree to pay her more and pay me less just because I agreed to take that 50K.
True.
And I just think that's not right. You should have like a set standard by which you treat people. And I can understand like if you have bigger numbers, you get paid more. I've not refused that. But just because you have smaller numbers doesn't mean you should be treated like shit. Sorry to curse, but
I mean, it's very unfortunate, but it's a man-eat-man society.
Yeah, and I know that. But at the end of the day, we still have a responsibility to try and fight for the ideal, try and work towards that ideal. I'm so sick of everyone telling me, you're so idealistic, that's not how it works out here. But it can be. Like, we can't just accept the status quo.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from, but remember, like, from you're coming from an activist point of view.
That's why you called me here, right?
Yeah, exactly. So remember you're talking, and even like, I'd see like how other people, and like, let's say, let me see if I can find like maybe some clips and maybe we can respond to them before, like, because I have so many pointers, and we'll just touch like on a lot, and we have so much time. So, okay, let me see if I can pull up the first video and see if I can play it, like maybe on audio. Is it playing? No? Okay, hold on. Let me figure out this. Come on, not now. We need.
I've seen that video.
You've seen?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to see if I can connect it on the mixer, and then we can just brainstorm to it. Let me see. Come on, man. Why is my
Why?
mix?
Because I
Oh,
did
okay,
take time to read the
Okay.
just sad to see creators being. So these are just sad scenes to see creators being dragged online because of attending the Dentsu School of Influence event. Guys, me, I attended. Do I have any regrets? No. Did I understand whatever the contract said and everything that was said? Yes. Why? Because I did take time to read the contract and I signed to it because I agreed to it. However, if I did not agree to whatever it is that was written there, then I don't think ninge sign. So if you signed the contract, that means that you agreed to whatever it is the Dentsu School of Influence told you to sign to. If you did not read the contract before signing, that is why you're here complaining. Guys, you take PR packages for free. You take services for free. You come out here, you create content for free, and then you post it. The same PR packages and the same products that you're given, you'd have paid for them somewhere. Sindio. So Dentsu.
Okay, so now let's unpack that a bit maybe, and you can respond to that, because and shout outs to Wanjira. That's just a clip from her TikTok. So like she said, like people already do a lot of things for free.
Yeah.
And, it's very common. I've even I've seen an extent of people even writing on their page, paid partnership, and they do not get paid.
They're not paid?
They just
That's
want
crazy.
affiliation, just to say, like, my name is associated to this brand.
Because when you say it's a paid partnership, maybe someone somewhere is saying that you have experience.
You have experience, and when people come to you, they get paid.
Okay.
But now, like, even to go to her video and what she said, like, she went there willingly, and, a lot of influencers already do a lot of things for free. So why not go there? Because like there was an opportunity for you to like maybe expose
the things
your brand.
They're saying, network,
exactly.
expose.
Yeah.
Listen, I watched that video and I hear what she's saying, and I hear what everyone was saying.
In fact, she's saying that, why she's coming from a concern where like, why are they being, and I'm guessing it's like maybe now people like you who are advocating for like, don't take this. You deserve better and everything. So she's like, okay, why are we being beat down?
Let me first
just
make
for going there?
Let me just make it very clear that in making the video, it was never about bringing anyone down. It was actually like quite the opposite, So I'm sad that it was received that way. But Wanjira and I have been in communication. I think
you're friends?
Yeah, we met the day of the event.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
dope.
So it's not like any internet beef or anything.
Yeah,
but it was the opposite of that. But I think also, like, of course, if you receive it that way, like especially with the comments, and like social media has a life of its own. I'll post something and something will just happen and it'll just go, So there's that, fine. But I also think what I was trying to point out is a very systemic exploitation. And I was trying to point out that, yes, it's okay. Yeah, we got all these things for free and all that. But at the end of the day, it's unfair because they made money from what happened that day. And we didn't benefit from it at all. And let me be very categorical and clear when I say that going for a party where you got to meet a bunch of influencers and getting a goodie bag is not benefiting, especially when you pit it up against. And this is the same visual I used in the TikTok.
Yeah.
Especially when you put it up against, who knows, possibly hundreds of millions of shillings that they are benefiting from the online engagement that we made. Yeah. So it's okay. We went, we had a good time. Now, on the thing for the contract, you're not stupid if you signed the contract. It's not that you didn't read it. Number one, contracts are not so easy to understand. So it's not like once you read the contract, you automatically will understand what's there. even for me, I read it. I was like, okay, full ownership. But it took me, like, I actually uploaded the document into ChatGPT, and that's when
to get a breakdown
yeah, and that's
analysis.
when now I understood. Oh, but I'm telling you, like, it's not fair to say I read it and I understood it. Like, probably that's not even the case. I'm sure even me in the video, there was something that hit you for the first time that you didn't get upon first reading it. And lastly,
Yeah.
just because you signed the contract doesn't mean you are now bound to the exploitation of the day. If you don't have the content for them to exploit, then, so let's like also not make that such a big thing of, like you're stupid because you signed the contract. I also signed it.
I have a question though, follow up, just regarding the contract. So wait, and this is very important as well, so that we understand how brands move. And the way I was saying, like, did they give you guys the contracts first, or was alcohol served first before the contracts were given?
No. The alcohol
I'm
was
just
later.
asking.
The alcohol was after because you couldn't enter the event, but you could see the bar. You could see like, okay, this is going
So
to
everybody signed this with a sober mind. I'm just guessing, not like
unless of course you came
double
there.
4 shots
No,
and then
no,
now
no,
it's like,
no.
okay, now can you sign this?
No,
Okay.
but I would say that Duress is still something that we could say happened because.
What do you mean by that?
So so when you say signing a contract under duress means you are, in my way of understanding it means you are not put in the best position to make the best decision about whether you should sign that contract or not.
Yeah.
So it can be either you are forced, or in our case, you had been waiting so long to get into the event, and then after like 2 hours of waiting to get into the event, they're like, oh, you can come in just now, just sign this. That's how it was. Yeah, that's honestly how it was.
So you were signing and then you get in?
Yeah, once you sign, you're given a tag, welcome.
Oh, really? Wait.
Yeah.
So it was at the entrance?
At the
So if you don't want to
entrance,
sign, you go home?
there's the door.
Yeah, because the only way you're entering is...
Oh, and mind you, by the way, I don't know if this is relevant, but I was starving. I was so hungry because I left the house without eating breakfast because I was in a hurry. And for me to just go there and eat, like...
So
I know it might sound silly, but...
No, it's not. Because even when you're on the line and you're seeing there's food there and there's an open bar
like,
there.
just sign this first.
Please, I need to go. Let me just get there.
Exactly.
Okay.
So even when you say, okay, no, we weren't drunk when we signed them, but you can see the bar and you're like, okay.
Yeah, I would want to.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have a few pointers that I just want us to just to run through, right?
Yeah.
Would you say like the event created like it gave you access personally, or from what you saw like from other people? Did it give them access to the brands that were there? Were the brand managers there? Like, did you get to meet any representatives of the brands? Maybe?
Yes. I met someone from L'Oreal.
Okay.
And I don't want to implicate Joby in any of this.
Yeah.
But I met someone from Joby and I had told him how I've applied for so many jobs on Joby and not gotten any replies. And he said, we networked. Basically.
Okay, so the network with the brands and representatives was on point.
Yeah. At least, I would say
from
that.
your understanding and experience, right? Okay, would you say networking with other influencers made sense there from people maybe you just see online, but there you got to now mingle with them and maybe even if it's exchange contacts and stuff?
I mean, it was an event full of influencers. So,
Because, like, you know how Kenyan influencers, you can't just DM anyone and then expect them to come for a collab or anything.
Okay.
Most of the time, like, they have and I understand because they have other commitments.
Yeah.
And still somebody...
Okay. In terms of influencers, unless it's someone who I know personally, I didn't see, maybe it's because like I follow, like the type of people I follow is a bit different, but I didn't see anybody that off the bat I was like, OMG, that's so and so. Like,
really?
For me personally,
What kind of people do you follow?
I don't know. Like I follow people who do a lot of similar stuff to what I do. I found like who would I find outside and be excited? I don't know.
I mean, give me a name or two, maybe. It's a way of you shouting them out. They're doing a good job
I don't
online.
know, maybe like the other day I met Boniface Mwangi in the petrol station.
Okay, yeah. Makes sense, especially like, even in line with a lot of things
If I
that you're
found
doing.
someone like, I don't, maybe also Lynn Gogi, for example, someone,
Victoria Rubadiri.
there we go.
Okay.
You know, that's more
Okay,
of
now I
it.
know what you're talking
That's
about
more
now.
of
Okay,
it.
now I understand. Caroline Mutuko.
Vitamin C.
Hey.
Period.
Hey.
Now you get it. Now
Hey.
you're understanding me.
I understand. I understand. Okay. And then now, like, okay, we've touched on deliverables. More than 300 creatives, I'm guessing, who are there. And then, are there companies that, because the companies that were there, like, it was just probably like a surprise, but were there companies that you actually saw and were like, oh, actually, I've wanted to work with this brand by there and they're here?
So that's another thing.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm glad that you've asked me that, because
Yeah.
I feel like there were so many different kinds of creators there that it was kind of hard for them to find brands that aligned directly with what they do. And I get it, like sometimes it changes, but it felt like an event for lifestyle creators. So for those of us who did different content, like people, you know, what kind of content do you do? So I interacted with people who do tech content. Who are they supposed to, how is that someone who does content about these kind of mics and stuff supposed to promote Gani, you know, like,
Tricky.
or supposed to promote Nice and Lovely, you know? I met with, so tech, natural hair, travel influencers as well.
Okay.
So it was hard. And then me, I think I was the only person there, like, what kind of content do you do? Oh, I do digital activism.
Yeah, yours is completely different.
Completely different. And there's something else I want to address, because someone on TikTok described it as the whistleblower does whistleblower content. So my
Are they calling you
motivation was,
Are you the whistleblower?
yeah, I'm the whistleblower. Surprise, surprise. So they said the whistleblower does whistleblower content, and so therefore my motive was clear. And I feel
So
like
what would have been your motive? What
that's
did they
what
imply?
I felt like she was saying I attended the event with the motive of basically creating a ruckus on social
Or
media.
like
about
tarnishing
it.
their name or
Yeah,
something?
like I attended to tarnish their name. That's not the case. And actually, I have the content that I filmed that day.
Yeah.
The content that I filmed that day, and I'm sure a lot of the people who are there might remember me asking them about something SRHR related. So I was asking people about misconceptions they had about sex and their bodies when they were young, you know, because that's the kind of content I do.
Yeah.
So I did not go there with any of those intentions. And I had actually posted. I had posted my content, and I had every intention of seeing this thing through, because that's why I'm here. I'm going to see it through, and I'm going to see if I might get shortlisted. But then after sitting with it for some time, after doing some analysis at, you know, sometimes in the moment also, and this is why it also answers those questions of why didn't you leave? Why did you sign? Sometimes it's you just need some time to sit down and think, you know.
It was like less than 10 hours to make all these decisions, make content, get into the room, all those things.
It was, we must have, I even left early. You know, once everything kind of dawned on me, I kind of was just like, I'm out of here. So I didn't even get the goodie bag, by the way. I don't know if they were given later.
I
but
think that's
didn't
when
go.
you stay till like it's time to leave. You can leave with this.
I don't know. Even if I was still there, by that time I think I had loaded, because at that time I had deleted already the content I had posted. So I think at that time I didn't even want the goodie bag. So, you know, I just hope like my integrity is not in question. But yeah, I did make content that day.